What makes a video game hard? Mostly it's got something to do with time spent on it, learning the mechanics, and how to execute them. Everyone's got some idea of an example of these. Dark Souls probably comes to mind. And possibly the most beloved of these games as of late is Elden Ring. But as I played them, overcoming their obstacles and learning their style, one thought kept creeping up. Hey, I'm starting to think Hollow Knight did this way better, even though I'm still bitter about that game! Okay, first off, let me give you the final scores. I'm giving like Dark Souls 3, Elden Ring, and Hollow Knight. Before you start thinking this will just be salt. Dark Souls 3, for the approximately 20 hours I played it, I give it a 8 out of 10. Elden Ring, for the approximately 25 hours I played it, I give it a 9 out of 10. And Hollow Knight, for the approximately 60 hours I played it, I give it a 10 out of 10. Obviously I'm gonna be biased because I finished Hollow Knight twice, and I've barely scratched the surface on Dark Souls 3 or Elden Ring. And all these games are good in their own right, but after playing them, I've realized that, suffering sucks, y'all! What ties all of these games together is the experience of learning the mechanics of the game by continually throwing yourself at the obstacles until your thumbs know the precise reactions intrinsically and to the bone. It's all about timing, quick reaction speeds, and learning the tells of your opponent. And you know what? For some people, that's fun. In Jacob Geller's video, Sekiro's Parry and Other Pursuits of Perfection, he talks about this desire to execute what the game is asking of you, an absolute, exacting perfection. Where the game designers built this world with strict rules that you must obey to proceed. And in that way, games that require these tight timings are more like rhythm games. A rhythm game that shuffles its chorus around each time, and each note you have to hit it is also dependent on where you are on the dance floor, but a rhythm game nonetheless. High-level gameplay of these games has a noticeable flow to it, a beat. It's mesmerizing. It's the culmination of hundreds of hours poured into a game, not just to increase stats, but to learn mechanics. It's a skill I simply do not have. What I don't like about these games has nothing to do with anything poorly made about them. It's a skill issue. I grew up on Pokemon and Minecraft! Two games that have you take your time and figure out creative solutions to various problems. The only action games I have played that I could draw experience from would be Legend of Zelda or Kingdom Hearts. So when I picked up Hollow Knight knowing it was gonna be hard, I honestly didn't know what that would entail. After spending the time necessary to learn how the game developers wanted me to play the game, I got good at it. I could tell when I needed to dodge, when I needed to hit, and every death felt like punishment for a mistake I made, and not one due to a poorly made game. And yet, even amongst Hollow Knight's impeccable art direction, tight controls, and engaging world, I still felt like a gear out of place, like it wasn't meant for me. I remember trying so hard to beat these bosses that I was making a raw spot on my thumb, rendering it unable to function for the next couple of days. I enjoyed it, yeah. Figuring out the boss's attack patterns was a lot of fun, as well as the platforming, but my frustration reached its peak when I fought one of Hollow Knight's hardest bosses, the Radiance. This is a boss fight that pushes you to your limits, forcing you to use every mechanic the game has taught you. A beautifully crafted fight that melted me to the point where, even when I won, it felt hollow. This is how the fight goes. You beat the first final boss. Yeah. Every time you die to the Radiance, you have to fight the Hollow Knight. A fight that used to give me trouble, but now serves to just waste my time before the big fish. This angry moth! She has 5 stages. One where she fucks your shit up. The second where she fucks your shit up but there's spikes on the sides. Then swords fall from the sky all the time. And then you're given a brief respite until the moth gets super pissed and summons rocks and fucks your shit up. Until finally, a tower of rock appears, with the radiance shooting laser beams at you. But all you gotta do is reach the top, and you better have enough health or Eventually, I did win. But what frustrated me the most was, well, me. Throughout this entire game, I was hell-bent on avoiding help. Not deliberately, but in this sort of, well, other people beat this game without help, why not me? That I had to prove something by not seeking help. And that caused a lot of needless suffering. Once I looked up how the boss works, health numbers, general strategies, and especially videos of people beating the Radiance, I figured it out. My frustration with Hollow Knight and other games like it aren't the games themselves. It's at me for not having the hair trigger reaction timing or reads on an opponent, but most shamefully, not asking for help. Except it's not all my fault when in 3D games you're fighting the secret third opponent, the invisible one following you like a cold shadow throughout the entire game! The camera! Oh, don't mind me, fighting just one old dude over here. Oh great, where did you show up from? Oh, look at this writhing giant mass of wood and flesh. Would it be great to see what's happening here so I might be able to dodge it? Okay, let me get you inside. I just have to get you inside so I can, okay, hold the camera. The camera isn't locking on! Oh my god! Oh my god! This is a problem with literally every 3D action game. How do you focus the action on screen when upwards of half of the environment is out of view of the player? Now, many games get around this with a lock-on feature, which works pretty well for big open environments with a lot of geometry to trip over. But that falls apart when you, 1, can't lock onto your opponent in time, either due to their wily ability behind you or you aren't facing them. 2, can't see anything because the fighting area walls are too close or the enemy moves like a fruit fly wondering why you aren't a delicious piece of rotting fruit. And 3, specifically for more Soulsborne style games where you have to delicately navigate to your previous death area just to pick up all your lost experience so you don't waste them and actually be able to level up and grow stronger. Now compare all of that to Hollow Knight, where everything happens right in front of you, where every attack is telegraphed, you know when and where you're going to be attacked, it's as clear as Trader Lore going, ugh, staring you the fuck down. No lock-ons because they aren't needed, and if you die, your previous death collection is as easy as hitting them a couple times before the boss battle. I can only think of one fight with Nosk, where the Knight's Shade is in the boss room, but even then, it's always in the same place. And even if you did lose it all you really lose is your currency, which can be devastating to lose only if you're saving up for that big 25,000 Geo double attack boost charm, which you could beat the game without. And so, on that fundamental level, Hollow Knight is a better game than any of the Soulsborns. And I am certainly biased on this, beating Hollow Knight twice and all, but its difficulty felt more like a flat rock wall with clearly marked locations to grab onto, where the only thing holding you back was yourself. The time you spent learning how to dodge, attack, and use spells always felt like progress. But for Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring, this rock wall was more like a cliff face with dangling arcs and precarious footholds, where you better have a guide with you lest you put your hand in a seemingly safe place only to be attacked by a nest of spiders, fall down, and have to crawl all the way back up to the exact place of the nest of spiders, or else you lose all your delicious gorp! And that's another big difference between these games, whereas Hollow Knight's difficulty comes purely from gameplay, where each death you learn where not to be. Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring hardness comes also from the camera that doesn't like to focus correctly sometimes, and the 3D geometry like stairs and doorways that add obstacles you have to fight around and hopefully hit your opponent through. Enemies that do crap tons of damage, so the strategy inevitably goes towards being a big tank with a shield, or in Elden Ring's case, being a fuck-off wizard, which, while cool, kinda seems to defeat the purpose of the game? And all these combined end up making half of the deaths feel like BS. That instead of learning anything about timing or attack patterns, you just die a lot. And people who play these games take this as a badge of honor. Like, oh, I beat Dark Souls or Demon Souls. And yeah, that's impressive, but I also know what that entailed. Hundreds of hours poured into learning attack patterns, how to block, how to dodge, over and over and over. Running into that brick wall of a learning curve. And no offense, that neither sounds like fun nor seems satisfying. As if someone had been running into that brick wall over and over and over, showing up with a bloody nose and going, I did it! I beat the wall! Like, yeah, you sure did, bud. Glad you enjoy suffering. And as I was struggling with these games, I wish someone had told me that it's okay if these games aren't for me. That I'm just not the type of person that finds these types of experiences rewarding. And I know I've been ragging on two games that people absolutely adore. People sing the praises of these games so much it almost seems like sacrilege to point out their flaws or hate them. Like, as if magically, if I continue to play these games, continually throwing myself at this wall of a learning curve, grinding out a couple more hours, that I will somehow enjoy it. I've gotten my taste. And, well, overall, it's not a pleasant experience. That's not to say it's bad. Heck, there were some very good highlights. The tutorial boss in Dark Souls 3 was my favorite so far. Clear, telegraphed attacks, wide circular battle arena. You could parry some of his stuff. Beautiful, perfectly crafted fight. And Elden Ring is a lot more fun when you summon friends and randoms to help you out. It's like, you're fighting that guy on the horse and you're both juggling the boss's attention, and it's like, together we can show the world what we can do. You're next to me and I'm next to you, pushing on through until the battle's won, and it's great when it works! I need to emphasize, your experience with these games is not wrong in any way. The joy you felt was real, and I do think it's impressive to overcome the challenges these games present. But if there's anything I hope you've learned from this diatribe about two of the most beloved games of all time, it's that play Hollow Knight! But also, that if something is way outside your skill level, you can just quit. No shame in doing so. And that there's no shame in asking for help or looking up a guide. Please do so. It's way better to reach out and connect with people, even if it's in that small way that game advice offers, than it is to claw up that wall all by yourself. It's honestly a waste of time at that point. No reason to reinvent the wheel. Just look up how the Radiance boss fight works, please, I'm begging you! And you know, mostly, I just want Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring to have an easy mode. Longer windows on iframes for dodging. Heck, maybe even a reward for perfect dodging, like Witch Time in Bayonetta, where stuff slows down and you can actually see your opponent for once. And bosses doing less damage would be nice. You know how much of a relief it was to find out that Hades had God mode? That once I had turned it on, within 3 attempts, I beat the game for the first time, finally, and got to see what I was fighting for? Actually, hold on, let's cycle back to Bayonetta, because I just finished Bayo 3 after recording all this. I had played Bayonetta 3 on its easiest difficulty, casual. Basically, hand-holdy baby mode for people who just want to see the story. Because I had never played an action combo game like it before and didn't know what I was getting into. By the end of the game, I had figured out how the controls worked and the combat was fun and button mashy, but I never increased the difficulty. Casual mode didn't make the entire game a cakewalk, but it did mean I never died to any enemy. But I didn't play as though I was invincible. Every hit I made was a personal mistake I made, and one I tried to improve around. And when I beat the game and unlocked infinite climax difficulty, I thought to myself, let's try it out, why not? So I opened up the end of one of the earlier levels and I had fun. The learning curve was a curve, not a wall anymore, and then the game was fun. The challenge was thrilling and engaging. Every button press was vital, and I could see how I was supposed to win and press the right buttons at the right time. I knew which buttons, it was clear, and all I had to do was do it. There's this game theory that I, for the life of me, cannot find the source on that. Talked about fun being measured by meaningful choices over time. And in that instant, I understood what that meant. And I still don't like Elden Ring. All I really ask from any game developers that might be watching is that maybe consider including a baby mode for people like me with baby hands and the reaction speed of a turtle. And I know that mods fill this gap. But unfortunately I'm playing Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring on console. And it's sad that I'm not able to see the game developer's artistic vision in its full. That the game developers built this world and said, this is how you play, learn it or die. And I'm over here like,
please, Mr. Developers, please change your vision to suit my needs. Spend more time developing your games so that everyone can play it.
But I can't help being me and my literal thin-skinned hands and skill issue brain. All this to say, Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring weren't made for me. And that's okay. I just don't find the frustrating grind and death loop of Soulsborne games satisfying, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with people who find that experience rewarding. But I am glad I played these games, and I appreciate the fun that they did give me. But there's also no shame in leaving the game to the people who love it. Thanks for watching. BB, please, you gotta sit on my lap. If you're gonna... Alright, I'm just gonna have to work around you, huh? Huh? Is that it? Alright, anyways, I'd like to thank Fairy Tarzana, Bree, Chris, DeRollin' Thunder, Eva, and Radar Love for their continued support. If you'd like to support me and see your name here in the credits of any of my future videos, head to patreon.com/Cosme to take a look at all the rewards. For just $1 a month, you too can see your name here. Also, I hope this video made sense. If you have any questions that I need to clarify, please go ahead and leave a comment below. I hope I can answer them. Also, hey, do you like this model and how this lighting effect looks? I think it's pretty cool. I'm thinking of using it in future videos. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I've been streaming a lot on Twitch at twitch.tv/Cosme. Go ahead and check me out there. I usually stream Thursday to Sunday, 9 p.m. CST, and I'll also link the Clips channel so you get a good idea about how those streams go. Anyways, thanks again for watching. Be sure to blow a kiss to every spider you see because they deserve it. BB, I'm trying to record. BB, my sweet angel. Why only when I were recording?